This is my review of Explorers, the third season episode of Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Inspired by ancient Bajoran explorers, the Cisco's embark on an unusual adventure attempting to travel from the station to Cardassian space in a hand-built craft powered by little more than solar winds. Meanwhile, Dr. Bashir's confidence takes a hit when he learns that an old medical school rival is due to visit the station. Some fans might dismiss Explorers as an episode where not a lot happens. There's no Dominion threat lingering overhead, there's not much in the way of political shenanigans, and it is pretty light on action. But you know what? I kind of like this one. It's just a nice hang episode, the kind of low-stakes hour that lets us sit and just enjoy the company of the show's characters. It's just nice, you know? And I like nice. The main plot focuses on Ben and Jake as they enjoy some father-son time in very unusual circumstances. Inspired by a trip to Bajor, Ben decides to recreate an ancient sailing vessel by hand and sets out to retrace the path the ancient Bajorans supposedly took, managing to travel all the way to Cardassian territory using nothing more than solar winds. Unsurprisingly, Sisko's efforts are met with skepticism, even among his own crew. The Ancients' achievement is highly debated, particularly by the Cardassians, but Ben is determined to put the myth to the test. Why is Sisko so driven to build a ship with his bare hands and set sail in what seems like a pretty dangerous and impossible adventure? He just wants to. And that's a big part of what makes this episode so enjoyable. It's just nice watching someone set out to do a thing that brings joy and excitement to their life. And Avery Brooks is great once again, really selling the commander's passion and commitment to just do something that by future standards seems quaint and unusual. Another thing that makes Explorers such a nice episode is it gives us time to enjoy the wonderful dynamic between Ben and Jake, which is the beating heart of the episode. For me, their relationship is easily one of the best father-son duos I've ever seen on the screen, and a lot of that is down to the incredible chemistry between Brooks and Cirroc Lofton. These two don't just act like father and son, they genuinely feel like father and son. If there's any kind of driving drama here, it's the moment where Jake reveals to his father that he wants to be a writer, a surprising revelation that he's been hiding for a while. It's the kind of revelation that in any other movie would almost always spark some sort of conflict or at least some sort of disappointment from the father's side. But we don't get that because that's not who Ben Sisko is. Instead of trying to push Jake towards something more respectable, or even pushing him towards a career in Starfleet, he immediately supports him, encouraging Jake to pursue whatever makes him happy. This might be a low-key, low-stakes moment, but I found this incredibly moving. It's just one of the many reasons why Sisko is one of my favourite characters in all of Trek, and why this is one of the healthiest representations of fatherhood on screen, period. The other aspects of the plot, the building of the ship and journey itself, is quite fun, although it does require us to take a bit of a leap to make it work. Watching Ben physically build the ship by hand, single-handedly by the looks of it, and seemingly in the space of a couple of days, does seem a tad implausible. But that's nothing compared to the idea of this tiny sublight ship crossing interstellar space in what feels like an afternoon, a day at most. Space is big. You won't believe how vastly, hugely, mind-blowingly big it is. Predictably, the trip is a success. Turns out the journey from Bajor to Cardassia is possible thanks to a conveniently placed tachyon eddy that flings the ship towards Cardassian space at some sort of naturally occurring warp speed. How could a sublight ship survive the sheer velocities of warp speed? No idea. This is definitely one of those episodes that stretches the realities of the universe to make its story work. Can you overlook the mechanics and take a leap to enjoy the ride? I mean, I could, but that's just me. One more curious thing is the appearance of Gul Dukat, who welcomes the Ciscos to Cardassian space with a pretty lovely space fireworks display. Mark Alemo is his usual great self in what is essentially a screen cameo, delivering a message from his government with just the slightest hint of objection to the whole thing. Now, do I think it's realistic for the Cardassians to put on such a proactive display of celebration? Not really. But again, it's nice to see. It's nice to see everyone just be nice to each other for a change. Back on the station, we get a B-plot where Bashir stresses over the arrival of a former classmate from medical school, namely the woman who beat him to become valedictorian. It's pretty light stuff, although it does offer some decent character development as Bashir continues to move away from the more annoying character we got in earlier episodes. Eventually, we learn his rival, who ignores him in an earlier scene, just didn't recognize him and always thought he was someone else. Turns out she envies him, having taken a post on the comparatively dull Lexington, while Bashir makes a different On the Frontier on DS9. Like I said, it's small but meaningful character work that helps nudge Bashir from overeager junior to a more grounded and arguably more likable character, even if revelations we're to get in later seasons does kind of muddy up a lot of this. The episode also gives us some small but very memorable moments. There's the go away message on the pad at the start, which might be my favourite and most used screenshot from any Trek. I love the drunk scene between Bashir and O'Brien, which, while not quite as convincing as Trip and Reed's drunk acting on Enterprise, is a nice character moment as the two cement a bromance that's core to the show right until the end. And back on the sail ship, we also get a very small but very pivotal moment where Jake lays the groundwork, offering to set his dad up on a date with a certain freighter captain. Not bad for an episode where not a lot happens. Opinion will vary on how important an episode Explorers is. It's not an essential episode, but I think it's an enjoyable one. This is a pleasant comfort hour. Nothing groundbreaking, no real stakes, just a bunch of good characters doing good things. And you know what? Sometimes that's all we need. I'm giving Explorers a 7 out of 10. But what did you think of this episode? Did you love it? Did you hate it? How would you rate it? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, subscribe for more Star Trek reviews, and until next time, live long and prosper.